Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your attendance on this afternoon's webinar. My name is Daniel Keane, and I'll be spending the next 45 minutes to an hour going through this presentation with you and discussing BTC software. So without further ado, we'll move into the presentation. So the agenda of today's webinar is going to cover a welcome. So we're going to have a quick word from Jonathan Barber, who's the Head of Business Development at the IFA. A little bit about BTC software. So there's a number of people that are on today's webinar, a few names that I recognize, but then also names that I don't recognize as well. So for those of you who don't use our software or maybe haven't heard of BTC software, you'll get a good insight into who we are as a company and the types of products that we offer. We'll look at our mission statement, the types of clients that we work with, the solutions that we offer, and around those solutions, what we provide. So we'll be looking at the training, the renewals of the software, that sort of thing, and also the support team. We'll look at a full product demo. So we're going to be looking at practice management, accounts, and tax, and then we'll have some time for some questions and answers at the end. So I suppose a bit of housekeeping. If you do use that GoToMeeting panel on the right-hand side of your screen to ask questions, all of the questions at the end will be anonymous. Even if you've got some questions coming into the webinar, feel free to ask them now, and we will have some time to answer those at the end. So we're going to have a quick word from Jonathan Barber now, who's got a couple of words to say, who is, as I said, the Head of Business Development at the Institute of Financial Accountants.
Hi everybody, and welcome again this afternoon to another BTC software run webinar that BTC have kindly put on for Institute of Financial Accountant members. Anybody who's joined the webinars previously run by BTC software, I know from feedback thoroughly enjoyed them and got a lot out of them. So enjoy the webinar this afternoon. Ask lots of questions, whether it be during or after the webinar, or send the team at BTC Software any questions, comments or thoughts afterwards. I'm sure Dan will provide his contact details at the end, but enjoy another webinar, and as ever, the Institute enjoy and value the partnership with BTC Software, and good luck to those taking part this afternoon. Many thanks.
Thank you, Jonathan. So that's a little bit about me. So I've worked at BTC Software now for just coming up 3 years. So I work in the new business sales team. You've got my guilty pleasure and my hidden talent on there, which I won't read. But I have spent the past 3 years working with businesses to help maximize efficiency through their software, whether that's accountants in practice or also accountants in business. So our company history. So we were initially founded in 1999, specializing in corporation tax. Following that, in 2009, I believe it was, we added our practice management and self-assessment modules. And in 2014, we added the kind of final piece to the puzzle in that we added our accounts production module, which forms what's now known as the solution suite. So we've got 2,500 practices that are reliant on our software, and 1,000 accountants in business that are also using BTC software. So that number has dramatically risen with the introduction of our MTD for VAT module. We won't actually be looking at the MTD for VAT module today. If that is of interest, let me know. Just drop me a message in that questions box, and I will get those videos sent across to you, or we can organise a one-to-one demo. So around 2,500 practices and 1,000 accountants in business equates to around 15,000 users of our software. We're all UK based, as well as our support and development team, and we're very proud of the fact that we're multi-award winning. So we picked up another 3 awards this year at the Accounting Web Excellence Awards, and that was for Solution Suite of the Year, Tax Software of the Year, and Accounts Software of the Year. So that's our mission statement. Now, we believe this particular sentence sums up BTC Software and our ethos. So our mission is to develop feature-rich, affordable software that simplifies accounting professionals' lives and makes their practices more productive and more profitable. So some of our clients that we work with, we've got Lambert and Chapman there, PKF Francis Clark, RSM and Shipley's. So we work with larger businesses as well as small to medium enterprise practitioners as well. Some integration. So we will actually be looking at some integration today. We're going to be looking at Xero, Reckon One. You've got Free Agent and Sage and QuickBooks. So we integrate with all of those in our accounts production module. So you're able to pick up an extended trial balance from one of those bookkeeping packages and import those directly into the software, which we'll see an example of using Xero a bit later on. And we've also got the My DocSafe and DocuSign integration options there, which is going to allow us to upload documents into BTC Software and then send them directly from BTC Software through a secure portal. So we're not emailing them, so they can't be intercepted in line with GDPR. And then your client gets a kind of a mini document management portal where they could pick up those documents that you've sent them, electronically sign them off, and then send them straight back to you. So we've got our solution suite. So over on the left-hand side there, you'll see the four main components of the solution suite. So you've got the tax submission. So within the solution suite, you've got corporation tax, individual, partnership, and trust tax returns. You've got the Yearend Accounts production, so we can import a trial balance using any of those APIs that we've just seen there. You can import via spreadsheets, or we've got kind of a mini bookkeeping package, which is our incomplete records module. We have full integration with the tax modules, whether that's for sole trader accounts or limited company set of accounts, and that also includes charity accounts as well. So we've got 5 charity templates which come with the accounts production module. Included within that, you've got the company's house filing, so you can submit accounts to company's house, whether they're full, filleted, abbreviated, and you've got the option for abridged accounts as well. And then we've got the practice management, which we will be looking at today, which covers reports, reminders, recurrences. You've got event tracking, document management, and the integration with those portals that we've just seen there, so DocuSign and My DocSafe, which includes the e-filing and customization of client data fields as well. Now, outside of the solution suite, on the right-hand side there, we've got some additional modules. So you've got the company secretarial, which again, we're not going to be looking at today, but we have recently recorded a webinar. It's about 40 minutes long, which covers the company secretarial module in detail. To kind of give you an overview of features, we're looking at company formations, dividend vouchers, minutes. There's automatic email reminders to clients on there as well. Cloud access, so our software comes in 2 variants. You've got the desktop solution, where all of the data is going to be stored onto your C drive, or if you've got a server or a hosted environment set up, our support team can point it to that. Or if you would like us to host your data in the cloud, then we do offer a cloud option as well. So we can host your data in the cloud so that you can access it from anywhere. And obviously you don't have to worry about backing up the software as well. And then finally at the bottom there, we've got the MTD for VAT bridging software, which is where we're going to bridge the gap between spreadsheets and filing MTD compliant VAT returns and also non-compliant software, whether that's an ERP or CRM solution, or maybe a non-compliant older version of a bookkeeping package, like an older version of Sage 950 or QuickBooks Desktop. So we've taken a look at the products that we offer there, so the different modules that are available. Now, outside of those modules, what you also will receive with the BTC software subscription is firstly installation guidance. So upon a purchase of BTC software, our support team would help you get up and running. So they would install the software, set up any VPNs on your machine if you're using the cloud, obviously migrate your data to the cloud. Data migration is also included, so we don't charge for the installation guidance or data migration. This is all handled by our support team free of charge. So if you're using existing software, we can take across all of your standing client data. So names, addresses, UTRs, telephone numbers, that can all come across. And as I said, our support team would handle all of that for you. We also offer full telephone product support. So from Monday to Friday between 9 and 5:30, you've got full telephone coverage, and we've even got email coverage outside of those hours as well. We would offer an initial bespoke product training package as part of your subscription, whether that's on a specific module or just kind of an overview of the software. You'll also receive the designated account manager who will handle all of your renewals and any first line questions that you have. And we also have flexible renewal terms as well. So we're not locking you down in any 90-day or 60-day clause like some of our competitors out there. We have a very high retention rate of BTC software, which we're very proud of. So if you don't choose to renew with BTC software, then of course that's completely up to you. So I hope that's given you kind of a good idea of the products that we offer, our business, how long we've been running, and also what we provide around the solution as well. So the services that we provide with a license. So what we're going to be looking at now is a presentation of the software through a demo. So we're going to be looking at the practice management. We're going to be looking at the tax and the accounts. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to tab out of my presentation and open up the software, and we'll continue to the solution suite. Now the best place to start is the fact that within the software we have two views. Now this is going to be the first of our two views, which is our individual view. So if you can see on this grid section box on the right hand side, we're going to have a list of our individual clients. So these are going to consist of your sole traders and any individuals that are associated with your organizations. This is where you'll find shareholders, directors, partners of partnerships, and trustees of trusts. Now the other view that we've got is if I go to client up at the top here and organization, we've got our organizational view. So this time on the right hand side, we're going to have our limited companies, partnerships, trusts, and also charities. Now, whichever view you're in, whether you're in the individual view or the organizational, you're going to have these exact same set of tabs that run along the top here. And all the information that falls under these tabs is going to be pertaining to the client that you've selected from the right hand side. So if I select Smith Software, which is going to be my demo client, you can see all the information now pertains to Smith Software. So I'm going to close down the individual view for now because we are going to be looking at a limited company. If self-assessment is of interest, we have got various videos on our YouTube channel, and of course we can provide you with a one-to-one demo. So do let us know using that questions box and we can get back to you on that. So throughout the webinar, I'm going to go through each of these different tabs. I'm going to explain the features and benefits of each, and we'll finish on this one here, which is the tasks, tax and accounts production returns tab, which is really our bread and butter tab. That's where we're going to get to all of the compliance. So we start with the details page. Now the details page is going to hold the majority of our standing client data, all of which, as I said, we can bring across from your existing provider. You can even do it yourself by going to the client option and import, and it will give you the various packages that you've got direct imports with. So you can link it directly to the program files, or you can choose the CSV option and import it that way. But as I said, our support team would handle all of that for you. But if you want to do it yourself, then by all means you can. Now, as well as that, in terms of onboarding new clients, you've got a Company's House search, which is a direct link into the Company's House gateway. So we can search here for a company name or a company number and populate that information that's held within Company's House. So really the key takeaway here is that we're not having to manually enter those details in for organizations, because we're bringing them in from an existing third-party software or even a spreadsheet, or we're bringing them in directly from Company's House. Now, within the details page, you've also got links to the company secretarial solution. As I said, we won't be going over to that today, but we do have videos on our YouTube channel, and also BTC Hub, which is what currently our MTD for VAT module is housed in. So actually, BTC Hub is going to be our development platform for the future. It's a full web browser-based solution, so eventually we're going to move all of this existing functionality on screen into a web browser so that we'll have a full SaaS software as a service product. And we're going to be starting with adding a few new features. So for those of you who already use our software, we'll look to add time and fees and workflows into BTC Hub very soon. We've got Know Your Client, which features further information on our client. Now, this particular information here isn't mandatory in order to file tax returns and year-end accounts, but it's important in terms of building up as much client data as we possibly can, and obviously keeping everything under the one roof. So in line with anti-money laundering, you've got some risk levels, risk notes, and a tick box there for Met Client face-to-face. We've got some validation checks here that we can move in a document, we can scan one in. I'm using a new computer today, so I haven't actually linked it up to a printer. But if you do, you can scan in a document if it's a physical document, maybe a driving license or a passport. Or you can simply move one in if you've already got it saved onto the desktop. As well as that, we've got some further notes at the bottom here, and in line with GDPR, you've got some marketing preferences, so you can decide whether your client prefers to be contacted via email, post, text, or telephone. Now, key dates is a nice one to show you because the key dates are automatically populated for you via the information that's found within the Details tab. So where you've got year of first financial year end, that period ends, these dates are automatically going to populate from there. And not only that, they won't lie dormant within the software. So you get this nice dashboard view of those key dates coming up for that client that you've selected from that right-hand side. You've got the contact details, which are going to be your addresses. Now, again, this is something that we can bring across and it's included in the company's house search. However, if you want to add additional addresses, you can choose the add option and you can type the address into here. You've got associated individuals, which is where we can importantly associate those individuals with our organisation. So we're selecting a limited company, so we've associated directors. You can also associate partners with partnerships and trustees with trusts. The way that we would do that is really nice and simple. We would add the individual or bring the individual in to the individual view, choose the add option, select the role of the individual, and the second drop down there is going to give us a list of that individual view that we briefly saw earlier. As well as that, we've got associated organisations, which within the organisational view is where we can group the companies together. Or if you're in the individual view, it's kind of like the reverse of this one here. You can associate the organisation with the individual. So to kind of summarise the first 6 tabs that we've seen there, it's really going to hold the majority of your key client data. Appointments is where we really start to bring in the practice management features. So the best way to describe our practice management features is by what we call the 3R principle, and it reports, it reminds, and it creates recurrences. So what we mean by that is we can report on system-defined events, which is anything that's already in the software when you come to use it. An example would be a set of Yearend Accounts or a tax return. Or you can report on a customized event, which is anything that you add into the software. So that could be a reminder to do with payroll, bookkeeping, anti-money laundering. It could be a birthday. It could literally be anything that you want. And once you set up those reports and you start reporting on those events, whether it's system defined or customized, you can set up reminders to either remind yourself or someone else within the practice or business of the task that you've got coming up. And then also recurrences, and that we would only have to set up the event once and decide however many times that event is going to occur, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annually. Now, there are 2 types of events that we have within the software. You've got an appointment, which is kind of fairly self-explanatory. You can see some examples of an appointment here. It's something that you're looking to attend, whether it's an appointment with a client or maybe a webinar like this one. And then you've got a task, which is something that you're setting either yourself up to do or another member of staff within the business. Now, appointments being fairly self-explanatory, I'm not going to go into too much detail on those. We will look at a task a bit later on, but appointments is going to lead me nicely into showing you some of the reports that we have within the software. So once you add those reports, whether you're reporting on an appointment or a task, you can track those through the different reports that we offer. So we've got single statutory event reports if you wanted to pull up a report on one specific event. So we'll go through those. So you can pull up a report here on each of your different tax returns and an SA payment schedule. You've got a report for Yearend Accounts and the company's house submission statuses, VAT returns, calculations and exclusions. This particular report is going to show you which of your individual clients qualify for making tax digital for business based on their income. Company secretarial readiness reports. This is so you don't import duplicates when you're syncing company secretarial, the practice management database. Client list reports, effort summaries if you choose to include effort, activity time log summaries, which we're actually looking to expand on to include a full time and fees package, and pending events, which I'll come back to, which is probably going to be our most widely used report. So if we look at one of these singular events, we've got kind of January coming up soon now. So if we go for an individual tax return report, so this particular report is going to show me all of my individual clients that are listed as active clients, and it's showing me the status of their individual tax return for the 2019 tax period. Now you can see here, even though I've not started the majority of my individual tax returns, they're still being logged into this report for me. And as well as that, they're automatically tracked by these different statuses. So if I go for an earlier tax year, maybe 2015, I've also got some statuses here that are in progress as well as not created. So each of these different reports are only ever going to show you your outstanding events, so the ones you've not yet completed, until you tick show completed on the right hand side. Now, to use an individual tax return as an example, if I submitted my individual tax return successfully to HMRC, that status is then automatically changing to complete and won't show in this report until I tick the show completed item. So with absolutely minimal effort, everything's being logged into these reports for you and automatically tracked. Now you can filter these different reports down by the tax years we've seen, and you've got search filters here, so I can search for myself, for example. I can search for the client reference, the UTR maybe. I've got the export option. So a few of our clients export, I know, out into a CSV file for adding and subtracting columns and also color coding. And you've also got the option to print as well. So that's if you wanted to pull up an event on, or a report rather, on one specific event. Our pending events, which is probably going to be, as I said, the most widely used report, this one at the bottom here, is if you wanted to pull up a report on all of your outstanding events. So this is going to give you a holistic view. Now there's so many different ways that we can filter this down. So we can filter this across by user, so I can choose all users. Tax years, as we had before. And I've got my search filters. And you can see I've got a lot more search filters on the pending events report than I do on the specific event reports, like an individual tax return report. So I can search here. At the moment, I'm searching via the event. So let's say, as an example, we wanted to pull up all of my outstanding corporation tax returns. All we're going to do is just type in corporation tax. We could do it for engagement letters, demos. I might have a payroll event on here, an individual tax return. Now, as well as that, we can search via the client. So we can look at Smith Software's outstanding events. We can look at an individual as well. You can also search via the period ends, so you can see what's due in the next 4 weeks in terms of the deadline, what's due this month. You could do the to or from date and search the date into the search bar to choose the specific time span that you want to search by. And you can also search via the due date. So the due date is actually a customized date as to when you want that event to be completed by, but then it's also used for customized events that don't have a period start and a period end, like a telephone call. So a lot of our clients would use the due date for those customized dates, but then also use the due dates for the system-defined ones as well. So let's say they had a corporation tax return and the period end was the end of the month. They might have the due date slightly premature to the actual deadline date so that they could have all of their corporation tax returns or year-end accounts or anything done by that specific date. Now, just like we saw before, each of these reports are only ever going to show you your outstanding events until you tick show completed, and then that will show you the completed ones as well that you can see there. You have got the option to view the tasks, export out into a CSV file, and also print. So we're going to take a quick look at how we can bring a customized event into here now. So I'm going to come out of the pending events report and move into task, tax, and accounts production returns. So I'll start by selecting my add option. Now, whenever you see a dark blue box, such as the one that I'm getting here within the software, it means that this particular field is customizable. Now, this is kind of a running theme. You'll see this everywhere. You can see it with statuses. You can see I've kind of got a gobbledygook status there. You'll see it with responsible users, responsibility roles. So software is malleable in terms of changing things, whether it's statuses, whether it's events, users, roles, or categories. So if I go to my event type drop down, now these ones in bold here, these are my system defined events. These are my compliance tasks. All of the ones outside of that bold font, these are all customized events that I've brought into the software so that I can track through the different reports that we've just seen. So if I go for one of these events, let's choose this one as an example. We'll go for a VAT quarter event. I can choose the description of the event, assign it to another user if I want to, and if we choose a start date, a due date, and a reminder date and time, so if we set up a reminder for 2 minutes time, and we'll set the notes in here. So to go back to that 3R principle, we're reporting on our event, so we've selected the particular event, which is going to be a VAT quarter event. We've chosen a reminder, and we can also choose a recurrence, so we can decide whether this is going to be a daily, a weekly, a monthly, or a yearly event. For this particular event, it's quarterly, so we're going to choose monthly and every 3 months. And you can see I've got my range of recurrence, which has been made available at the bottom here. So I can decide whether this is going to recur indefinitely, end after a certain amount of occurrences, or end after a specific date. So if I save and close that, you can see we get a description of the event under the Task, Tax and Accounts Production Returns tab. And it's just added the next quarter. So you can see the current quarter is in progress and the next quarter is not started, and it's automatically assigned our reminder for the 12th of February. Now to track that through the different reports, I can go to Reports and Pending Events, and I can use my 3 popular search methods. So I can search for the event itself. So you can see there it is. Well, actually that's the one for next month. You can see there it is. You can search via the client, so we can type in BTCSoftware, and there you go, it's highlighted. And then finally, we can search via the due date. You can see there it is. Now we will come back to the pending events because I'm going to show you a bit later on how we can bring, or how one of our system defined events, in my particular example, it's going to be a set of year-end accounts, is automatically tracked, and how these statuses are automatically changing throughout the different actions that you take within the software. So you'll notice there we've got the reminders popped up. So this is what a reminder is going to look like within the software. Even if you had the software minimized, let's say you were surfing the internet, or you were on a bookkeeping package, this reminder is still going to come front and center of the screen. So you can open it up directly from within the reminder, make any changes. You've got snooze intervals, and then you've got the option to dismiss, which I'm going to do, otherwise it's going to keep popping up and annoying us throughout the webinar. So there we go, that's the pending events. Now to move on, we've got reports and letters. This is where we can create global templates for client letters, like engagement letters, tax questionnaires, payment reminder letters, and also covering letters. So they're going to be on the front of your year-end accounts and tax return reports. So if I go to administration up at the top here, and report and template design, we'll start with my covering letters. Now what we're looking at here is a global template of an individual tax return covering letter. So it's being saved as a global template, so it's essentially one template per remit. Once you edit this and you're happy with it, it's then used across the board. So really the first thing to do is edit the template, and we can introduce a PDF background template. So I can show you the example that I've got here. So I've introduced a company logo or header and footer, and also a signature as well. So our support team can help you out in getting this set up, or you can just scan it in and save it as a PDF if you've got letter-headed paper, or just print directly on letter-headed paper like this. And then you would edit each of these boxes to include the relevant information that you want. Now the software uses database tags to bring in a lot of these details. So if I go to the client name and address box, which is this one that's being highlighted here, and drop down to my text box. So this is just the print view. I don't expect you to read any of this. The actual text is down here. And you can see these database tags include the client title, the client full name, and the client address. If I make a bit of space for us here, we can drag and drop database tags into this template to include whichever information that we want to. So that every time we produce the individual tax return covering letter, it's going to come up with that information within the database tag. So I can drop down, I've got general database tags, which are going to be names, dates, emails, or I can even choose tax return information. So first payment on an account, total tax due, the tax year, the IR mark, for example. And I would just select the template. You can see it there in my text box. So it's going to be there within my print view, so that now every time I produce my individual tax return covering letter, the IR mark is going to appear within that particular box there. So that gives you an idea of what the covering letters are going to look like within the software. Now, again, this is something that the support team would help you get up and running with, and we'll see an example of a covering letter when we move into the year-end accounts a bit later on. So as well as the covering letters, we've got client letters. So we've got a couple of templates in here already for you to use. So you've got the payment reminder letters, you've got the tax questionnaires, the engagement letters. And if you edit the report template, you can see the database tags that are being brought in at the top and at the bottom here. So with the engagement letter template, you can again insert an image from file. So you can insert a letterhead or a logo. And you can keep the database tags that we got at the top and at the bottom. And if you have an engagement letter that you're using at the moment, then by all means, copy and paste your engagement letter directly into here, save it as a global template, and then you won't have to go in and change each of these details every time you want to produce an engagement letter, like dates and email addresses, that sort of thing. Now, having these global templates of these client letters, what that allows you to do is if you go to client reports and bulk report creation and you choose your letter, let's say we were going for making tax digital or maybe a letter to do with GDPR, you can add all of your clients over to the right hand side, dedupe the ones that you don't want, and then you can create that letter for every single one of those clients at once. So as well as that, we've got the document management. So that within our folders tab, this is where we can scan in a physical document like an invoice, for example, or we can move one in from the desktop. Or if you've got whole client folders, you can actually move in the client folders as well. So for this particular example, I've got some different invoices saved under different years. And once I bring the document into the software, I can view it, I can edit it, and it will bring it directly up. Just brought it up on my other screen there. I can email the document. If I do try to email it in line with GDPR, it will give me a quick warning here, which is kind of, I suppose, going to segue me onto the next point. In line with GDPR, we integrate with a couple of companies. One of them is My DocSafe and the other one is DocuSign. So if we go to Administration, System and Options, and we go across to our Document Management System options, we can choose our document portal, whether it's going to be Virtual Cabinet, DocuSign or My DocSafe, save it, and you can see it's just going to appear under my folders tab. So what I can do is I can click on that, request for an electronic signature, add in a personal message, and I can send that document directly from BTCSoftware through a secure portal so it can't be intercepted. Your client would then be email notified that you've sent them a document with a link to sign into their DocuSign or My DocSafe account. They can pick up the document remotely on their phone, laptop, tablet, electronically sign it off, and then send it straight back to you through that secure portal. We've got files, which is for representing physical files, if you want to keep a track of those, if you've got files archived in a specific filing cabinet outside of the office, wherever. And then you've got a notes section, which is a free-form notes section in which you can maybe jot down the nature of the telephone call with a client, or we have some of our clients use this for adding notes to other members of staff within the practice or within the business. So that's going to give you a good idea of the practice management feature. So we've gone through each of those different tabs now. I won't be covering any more detail on practice management. So if you do have any questions on anything that you've just seen there, as I said, do use that questions box and we will have some time for questions and answers at the end. But for now, I'm just going to move straight into the Yearend Accounts. So I'm going to go into Task, Tax and Accounts Production Returns and choose my Add option. So just exactly the same as we did before for my Customized Event. I'm going to choose from my event type Yearend Accounts. So I'm going to go for a system-defined event this time. Now, as I've selected Yearend Accounts, it's automatically picked up the right one there for me because I'm rolling it forward, the right accounting period, because I'm rolling it forward from this prior year. Now, if it's your first year of trading or you need to amend that, nice and simple, you can just choose from the calendar drop-down. As well as that, we can choose a start date, a due date, and a reminder date and time, but we did see that earlier. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and view and edit my Yearend Accounts. So it's going to open up a Yearend Accounts summary. So it's going to bring through all the relevant information from the details page. And importantly, this is where we're going to choose the accounts production template. So for this particular template, for this particular client, we're choosing the FRS 102-1A. You've got options for accountants reports and obviously the tick box for audited and abridged accounts as well. So after we've selected our template, we can open up the Yearend Accounts, which is going to transition us from using the Practice Management Client Database directly into our Yearend Accounts module. And we get a message there saying, are we sure we want to roll forward from that prior year? So which will say yes. And we're presented with the cover page for the set of accounts. Now over in the table of contents on the left hand side, you've got the different pages of the report. And if I scroll down to extended trial balance, I'm just going to move this editing panel over to the right hand side. You can see where we've rolled forward from the prior year, my prior year comparatives have entered into column J. So it's up for me now to get my comparatives, or to get to my figures into the original trial balance column or the current year. So there's many different ways that we can build up the extended trial balance. I'll go through all of them. Again, kind of a running theme throughout the software is whenever you see dark grey boxes, it does mean that you can manually key the figures directly into those. So that is the first way of building up our extended trial balance, is to manually key the figures against the descriptions. Another way is for producing journals. Now, the majority of our clients will probably use journals for adjustments as opposed to bringing up or building up the extended trial balance. So you've got ledgers, accounts, debits and credits. We'll come back to journals in a second. We've got our mini bookkeeping package, and we've got the incomplete records module. So if you've got a client who comes in with a shoebox of receipts, you can add bank accounts into here, introduce some opening balances up at the top, and log payments and receipts directly into here. If you're using existing software that works with nominal codes, you can change our nominal codes to the ones that you're familiar with, or you can even add new ones. And you can export that directly into the extended trial balance. That's another way of building up the ETB, and probably the most popular way, which is our final option, is going to be this one here, which is the trial balance import. So this is where we're importing from an Excel spreadsheet using the custom option at the bottom, or we're importing via each of the different bookkeeping packages listed there. So there are 4 online bookkeeping packages that we work with specifically. So you've got Xero, QuickBooks Online, Reckon One, and Free Agent. And the integration that we have with them is, as well as being able to browse for a CSV file, which is going to be the option for all of these other ones listed here. If I select my bookkeeping package, which is an online bookkeeping package, I can choose the download option. I can log in to the bookkeeping package directly from within BTCSoftware. Actually, that's oops. And once I've logged in, I can allow access for 30 minutes. So I'm essentially creating a token here, so I don't have to keep logging in every time I do something towards the ETB. So following that, we get to our mapping screen here. So what we're seeing is these codes and descriptions that have come from Xero are being mapped to BTCSoftware's ledgers and accounts. So these values here are going to go into all of the right boxes within our extended trial balance. So this kind of works in like a traffic light system does, and it successfully mapped these ones in green. The software will attempt to guess ledgers and accounts in yellow, and you can tick them off if they're correct. And these ones in red here, it's just a case of choosing from the drop down. So we've got legal and professional fees, which we know is an administrative expense. We're just going to drop down to the account that best describes the ID and description from Xero. Now, as I map these ledgers and accounts, when I roll forward into the following years, it's going to remember the mapping that I've done. So really, you're only having to map the majority of these in the first year. And then when you roll forward, it's going to remember all of that mapping that you've done in prior years. So as an example, let's say we roll forward into the following year and no new IDs or descriptions were introduced. We're going to get a complete green trial balance mapping screen when we press download and log in. So that all we have to do, click of the button, we just press import, select yes to import, and all of these values are going to go into the correct boxes within our software. There you go. Now, of course, at the moment, we've got a lot of boxes here with no numerical values. So there's a tool up at the top here called the Collapse Empty Data tool, which is going to combat that and give us a much nicer view of our extended trial balance. Now, as well as being able to log into the bookkeeping package from within BTCSoftware, any adjustments that are made through journals and bringing the corporation tax provision in can be posted back out into the bookkeeping package, again, directly from within BTCSoftware. So it's a two-way integration. So if we just do a quick example here, I'm just going to choose these top 2 options. So we'll debit £100 out of sales and we'll stick it in opening stock. So if we save and close that adjustment and choose OK, it's just going to drop into column D. So we can have multiple entries under one journal. We can have multiple journals and push everything over to the right-hand side. Now to get that back out into the bookkeeping package, all we're going to do is go to Print and Journal Export. Select Export. It's going to give me a quick warning here about codes because I'm bringing in opening stock, which I didn't actually bring in from the zero trial balance. So we'll override that for now, for the sake of the webinar. It's going to recognize the fact we've imported from zero, so I can choose Upload and Update. And then we go. We get a really nice message to say that that journal has now been successfully uploaded into zero. So if we want to view that, we just click Yes. It's going to open up zero and I can log in. And you can see there's the journal that we've just created with our timestamp at the bottom there. Now, once we brought our figures in here and we've made our adjustments, the next stage is to check the accounts and generate the IXBRL file. Now, just before I do, I'm just going to check that I've added my director for the signature. And once I've done that, I can check the accounts and generate the IXBRL file. Now, we should receive a couple of warnings, but it's a good chance to explain that we have both warning and error messages within the software, which essentially act as safety net features so that you can't go wrong. Now, the difference between the two is a warning isn't something that will affect the final submission, whereas an error will do. So a warning is something that you can override, whereas an error, you would have to obviously rectify the error before you can move on. Now, a good example of a warning is this one at the bottom here, the page numbering, because Companies House aren't worried about the page numbering when you send a set of Yearend accounts to them, but it's obviously going to affect the aesthetics of the report when you send it to the client. So it's definitely something that's worth noting, but it's not vital for the submission. Now, for the sake of the webinar, I'm going to override these warnings for now, and we should get a nice message to say the Yearend accounts were checked and that all-important IXBRL file generated behind the scenes for us successfully. There we go. So we can move on to the corporation tax module now. So I can go back to the Yearend Accounts summary that we were in earlier, where we opened up the Yearend Accounts, and you can see I've now got the option to open up the CT return. So that'll open up a summary similar to this one, where I can open up the CT Comp and CT 600. And again, we've got two-way integration between the accounts and the tax module, all accounts and all tax modules. So you can see where I've added my figures into the extended trial balance, it's brought them through into my adjustment of profits. And if I wanted to add further add backs or deductions, I can push those back out into accounts production. And if I go to corporation tax calculation, you can see it's already worked out our corporation tax chargeable figure. So really all that's left for us to do is any supplementary schedules or losses. So if I go to supplementary schedules down here, we've got capital gains, capital allowances, property pages, R&D, or any of the specialist CT600 forms here. So like loans to participators or the CT600E for charities. I'm sure you'll recognize we've also got the different pages of the report. And we saw a quick warning earlier. So if I show you a quick example of what an error message would look like within our software, if I go to check the return and generate the IXBRL file, we should get a couple of errors. You can see, as opposed to a warning, I can't override. So I have to change these. Again, it's a safety net feature so that you can't submit incorrect accounts or tax returns. And what it's saying here is a fairly simple one. We're missing a declaration name and status in box 975 and 985. So if we find those box numbers and add in our name and our status, we can check return and generate the IXBRL file now that we've eliminated those errors, and we should get a nice message to say the Yearend accounts, or the corporation tax return rather, was checked and generated successfully. And that CT payable figure that we've just seen within the corporation tax calculation will automatically post into the Yearend accounts. So I can come out of here, go back to my Yearend accounts summary and open up the Yearend accounts. Drop down to my extended trial balance, and there you go. You can see in column E there, it's automatically added in my corporation tax payable figure. And also, if I go to journals, it's added it in as a journal so that you can post it back out into the bookkeeping package alongside all of your adjustments. So now that we've got that figure in there, we can check the accounts and generate the IXBRL file. We'll override the warnings for the sake of the webinar, and we'll get that nice message to say our Yearend accounts were checked and generated successfully. And that's the Yearend Accounts finished now. So the next thing to do is to produce the report that we're going to send on to the client. So I'm going to come out of here, choose my option there, send to client for review. I can choose the different pages of the report. And if I create my report, so we're looking at a full set of accounts here, I've got my different options. I can send it through the secure portal, email it, save it as a PDF, print. We'll look at a preview. Now this is an example of another covering letter, which includes a letterhead and a logo and a signature. And we can go through the different pages of the report. So I've got my covering letter, the standard one, if you don't want to include one of these. You've got your contents page, company information, director's report. There's our P&L, our balance sheet, our notes to the accounts, and then our detailed P&L at the bottom. Now, once we send that to the client, you'll see our status, which was just in progress there, has just automatically changed to with client for review. So this is a perfect example of how these statuses are automatically changing so that you can track them through your different reports. So if I go for my pending events report and search for Yearend Accounts, straight away you can see the one that we've been working on because it's the only one that's with client for review. And you can see it's showing the time recording that we've spent 9 active minutes within the Yearend Accounts production module. So now, once I've sent that to the client, they've sent it back, they're happy with it, they've signed it, we can submit to Company's House. Tick the tick box to confirm we've got authority from the client to submit. You've got the options for full or filleted. It will automatically choose filleted, but you can choose the full option. And then we just press this one here, submit filleted accounts to Company's House. Now obviously I've got a, it's just popped on my other screen there, but I've got a submission fail because I'm on a demonstration version of the product. But if you submit it successfully, you get a nice message here and the status would automatically change to complete. Now for the tax return, if I open up the CT Comp and CT600 a final time, we're going to check and generate in here as we're attaching those new iXBRL set of accounts to the CT600, so it's in that mandatory format for HMRC. And once it's worked that out for us, here we go. We can come out of here. We can send a corporation tax return report to the client as well. And if we submit to HMRC, just as we did before, confirm we've got authority from the client and submit. And there we go. And it's going to give you a useful little link here to the options menu where you can enter in those filing credentials. So there we go. That's going to draw a conclusion to the actual demonstration of the software. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to tab back out into my presentation and we'll look at how, if you haven't already tried BTCSoftware, how you can view it for yourself. So there we go. So we offer 3 main options. You've got the one-to-one demo. So if you don't use BTCSoftware already, you would like a one-to-one demo. If you've got questions, maybe there was a module that we didn't go over like charity accounts or self-assessment and you wanted to look at those, then of course get in contact and we can organize that with you. You can also trial our software. So we offer a 15-day no obligation free trial of the software, which includes the full solution suite. You've got our YouTube channel, which we're updating probably, well, weekly at the moment. So there's loads of videos that we're updating on our YouTube channel, whether that's kind of showcase style videos, tutorial style videos, support based or pre-recorded webinars such as this one. You can check out our YouTube channel, which is www.youtube.com/BTCSoftware. So there we go. That's going to draw a conclusion to this afternoon's webinar. Thank you everyone for your attendance.